What's up, everybody? It's Jordan, and welcome to the Sports Studio Hines Show. In this video, I want to be reviewing the off-season moves made by the Carolina Panthers and also doing a record prediction for Carolina as well. So let's go ahead and get started here. So this past season, Carolina was 5-12. Last season they kind of started promising. Looked like they could possibly be playoff contenders, but that ended, really shortly. They started off 3-0. For the rest of the season, they only won 2 games. The Sam Darnold, situation did not really, go well. They traded some picks to get him. He was 4-7 as a starter with 9 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. Darnold didn't really work out, so they signed, Cam Newton midway through the season. He did not work out at all. He was 0-5 as a starter and even had a worse completion percentage than Sam Darnold did. When you look at the Carolina Panthers, obviously they have one of the best running backs in the NFL, Christian McCaffrey. And once again, he got hurt. It seems like that's been a recurring theme for McCaffrey the past couple of years, that he keeps getting hurt. He was only played 7 games last year, but he had about 450 rushing yards and had over 300 receiving yards. He had only 2 touchdowns for the year, but averaged over 100 yards a game. Chuba Hubbard, the rookie this past season, running back who kind of took McCaffrey's place when he went down, had a productive season. He had over 700 yards total. He had 6 touchdowns as well for Carolina. And when you look at this Carolina team, to me, I think they have the most underrated receiver in the NFL, and that is DJ Moore. DJ Moore, despite having Sam Darnold as his quarterback and Cam Newton as his quarterback, he was still able to have 93 receptions for 1,157 yards and 4 touchdowns. To me, proving once again why he's one of the most underrated players in the entire NFL. Robbie Anderson had over 50 receptions and over 500 yards with 5 touchdowns to go along with that. Like I said, McCaffrey had 37 receptions for over 300 yards and a touchdown. And when you look at this, Carolina Panthers defense, their defense, they lost to Son Reddick, and that's going to be, kind of hard for them to replace that production of Reddick. He's one of the more underrated players on defense and was really a key contributor for Carolina the past couple of seasons. He had 11 sacks last year. But when you look at this Panthers team, they have some nice young players who I think, if they develop properly, they can be, really, really good defense for Carolina. Jeremy Chin had over 100 tackles last year. And also an interception. I think Chen's one of the most underrated safeties in NFL. And, there was a case to be made that he could have won Defensive Player of the Year in 2020 over Chase Young. You also have Shaq Thomas. He had over 100 tackles and 2 interceptions as well. Looking at it here, like I said, he lost to Son Reddick. He had 11 sacks last year. Brian Burns is another one of those young guys who, if he develops better, he can be really, really nice. He had 9 sacks last year. Gross Matos, the young edge rusher they drafted a couple years ago from Penn State, he had 3.5 sacks. So when you look at this Panthers team, they have some nice young defensive players. And if they can all develop properly, I think Carolina, maybe give them a year or two, could have one of the better defenses in the league. Looking at Carolina's offseason, to even help their defense even more, they signed Corey Littleton, who had 98 tackles last year. Looking at their offensive line, their offensive line has been kind of bad the past couple of years, and they really addressed that in the offseason. They signed Austin Corbett, the guard, who previously played for the LA Rams. They signed him to a multi-year deal. They also signed center/guard Bradley Bozeman for the Baltimore Ravens, and they also drafted Nakeem Ekwonu. So those are 3 starters right there for Carolina that they have upgraded this year compared to last year. So their offensive line should be much, much better this year compared to last year. There's no excuses for them now. Obviously they drafted Matt Corral in the mid-rounds from Ole Miss. And their main, offseason move just a couple weeks ago is that they traded to get quarterback Baker Mayfield. This is interesting to me because I like that they drafted Matt Corral in the mid-round. And especially, after they traded for Mayfield, they traded for Mayfield after the draft. They have Mayfield and Darnold. They're both on 1-year contracts. So let's say, Mayfield does good. Maybe they, sign him to a 1-year deal. And if he doesn't work out then, maybe Matt Corral can take over as the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. It's very interesting when you have 2 guys who neither one of them are great by any means, and they both have 1 year left in their deal. And you have a guy like Matt Corral who really isn't NFL ready yet to take over a NFL team. Should be interesting with the quarterback situation. So let's go ahead and look into this record prediction here. Before we get into it, every single schedule I have for every single team, I always have them losing 1 game they shouldn't, and I always have them winning 1 game they shouldn't as well. You say, well, how are the Panthers going to beat a team like the Bengals but lose to the Falcons? It makes no sense, but it always happens. I keep saying this on videos, but look at the Bengals last year. The Bengals swept the Chiefs, Ravens, and Steelers, but they lost to the Jets and the Bears. It makes absolutely no sense, but it always happens in the NFL. Let's go ahead and look at these wins here I have for the Carolina Panthers this upcoming season. I have them winning against the Cleveland Browns, winning at the New York Giants, winning against the 49ers, winning at Cincinnati, winning against the Atlanta Falcons, at Seattle, and against Detroit. My losses for the Carolina Panthers, I have them losing to the Saints, Cardinals, at the LA Rams, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, at the Falcons, at the Baltimore Ravens, against the Denver Broncos, against Pittsburgh, at the Buccaneers, and at the New Orleans Saints. So my record prediction for the Carolina Panthers is 7-10, and I know I had them having some major wins against the 49ers, who were in the NFC Championship game last year, and against the Bengals. You know, the 49ers to me are kind of questionable because, you know, Trey Lance would be their starter, and you look at the Bengals. You know, if you've watched the Bengals and Browns play the past couple of seasons, for whatever reason, Baker Mayfield plays like he's freaking Joe Montana when he plays against the Bengals. I think the Panthers are capable, maybe upsetting the Bengals this season. And, you know, looking at their losses, you know, I had them, you know, kind of a couple of toss-up games. You know, maybe they sweep Atlanta, depending how good Carolina is and how bad Atlanta is. You know, my record prediction for them is 7-10, but I think they can maybe get more than that. My ceiling for the Carolina Panthers is 9-8, and my floor for them is 5-12. If they are 5-12, there's absolutely no excuses for Matt Rule. He should 100% be fired. You know, like I said, my record prediction is 7-10. I think if the Panthers don't get at least 7 wins, I think Matt Rule should be fired. There gets to be a certain point we just kind of had enough of Matt Rule. You know, there should be, you know, some progress made each season, and we haven't really seen a ton from Matt Rule. But my record prediction for the Carolina Panthers is 7-10. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Comment your record prediction for the Carolina Panthers season, which is just a couple of weeks away now. Absolutely crazy. If you're new to the channel or if you've seen my videos before, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time on the Sports Dude Hines Show.